In previous video we have seen what is the content of this chapter, front axle and steering system. We have seen how it looks like, what is the arrangement of the front axle, what is the function of the front axle. Mainly it has to carry the front weight of the vehicle, as well as it should able to carry the horizontal and vertical loads due to bumpy roads conditions. And if the brake is provided to the front wheel, then it has to also absorb braking torques, and they must able to withstand twisting torque of the axle between stub axle and spring seat. Okay, and as well as it should provide comfort to the ride. In case of four-wheel drive, it has to also transmit power to the road wheels. Okay, and we have seen when the wheel is not the brake is not provided to the front wheel, at that time I section will be preferred, which is made up of forging operation, because forging gives more strength. And this also some space or suitable arrangement is made so that we can mount the spring, as well as one end of the axle there is a stub axle, suitably shaped stub axle. Okay, and next is when the wheel is provided with brake, at that time we have to go for circular section or rectangular section, because there are varying stresses, the twisting torque or twisting action or torque reaction of the braking torque applied to the brake drum. That's why there was a twisting torque or torque reaction. Okay, so that purpose what you have to do, you have to choose a circular section. Okay, that's why it is more preferred. And then we have seen the arrangement of there is the connection between the front axle beam and stub axle of the wheel. Okay, and on that basis there are four types. First is Eloyd stub axle, second is reverse Eloyd stub axle, third is Lemoyne, and fourth is reverse Lemoyne. Okay, now we have already discussed what is Eloyd stub axle. The stub axle of the wheel is placed in between the your front beam axle. One end is made up like a yoke or a fork, and it accommodates the stub axle of the wheel. And in the reverse Eloyd the situation is different. The stub axle of the wheel is shaped such that like a yoke or a fork, and in between this front axle can be mounted, and which is pivoted using a bearing and the knuckle pin. Okay, then Lemoyne or reverse. In case here in Lemoyne, the wheel stub axle is below the front axle beam. Okay, the arrangement is like this, then it is called a Lemoyne. Reverse Lemoyne is exactly opposite, means the stub axle of the wheel is above the front axle beam, and here the arrangement for the bearing and the pivot is to this side. Okay, it is called as reverse Lemoyne. We have seen that reverse Eloyd is more preferred. It is more preferred because it is easier to manufacture, as well as load exerted by the stub axle is equally distributed. Load exerted by this stub axle of wheel is equally distributed on this front axle, as well as it is more adaptable to use with front brakes. Okay, when we have studied that when we are using a brake or the brake is provided on the front wheel, there are twisting movement or torque reaction, and for that purpose it is this reversiloid will able to withstand or more adaptable for this type of brakes used with front brake system, and this allows a simple steering arrangement. That's why it is more preferred. Okay, and here once again the information is given how it looks like in a one slide. Okay, so we will next is our steering. We are going to learn what is the steering part or components, what is the function of the steering, what is the primary function and secondary function of the steering. Okay, as we all know, the wheel is more common, which is on driver's hand are there, and the driver is steering the vehicle. It is giving direction to the vehicle with the help of this wheel, and this steering arrangement is very important in automobile system because this has to give the direction to the vehicle when we are making a turn, or when the when we have turn, and again the wheel should keep to the original position. At that time there should be a steering arrangement. Just we will see what is the primary function. The primary function is to achieve the angular motion of the front wheel to negotiate a turn, and it is having linkage with the steering gear, which convert rotary motion of the steering wheel into the angular motion of the front wheel. Okay, just again we will see the rotary motion of the wheel is converted into the angular motion of the wheel. Okay, this here the wheel is having angular motion, you are observing, and here the wheel, hand wheel or the steering wheel is having a rotary motion, and it is having a angular motion of the front wheel. Okay, and what is the secondary function of the steering? To provide a directional stability when the vehicle is moving on the straight road, as well as to provide perfect steering condition irrespective of road conditions. Okay, you have to take care, the steering has to take care of that, as well as to facilitate ahead recovery after completing a turn. Means you have turned the vehicle, then it should recover to its original position, and as well as to minimize the tire wear, Okay, you will observe that the vehicle is moving. Okay, it is having rolling condition, it is having some speed, and at the same time you have to turn. Means how complicated this steering is. The steering is having more than 100 parts or components, but for simplicity we are taking major part or component. Okay, here we will understand what is the requirement of the steering system. First requirement is it should multiply the turning effort applied on steering wheel by the driver. Okay, even if you apply a multiplying a turning effort applied on steering wheel. Okay, and it should be a certain extent irreversible. In other words, the shock of the road surface encountered by the wheels should not be transferred or transmitted to the driver's hand. Okay, when there is a road shocks or road surface due to which there is a shocks encountered by the wheels, it should not be transmitted to driver's hand, and whatever driver is giving a turning effect, it should reach to the steering wheel. Okay, just understand it. And after that, third important requirement is the mechanism which should have self-rightening effect. Means when the driver release the steering wheel after negotiating the turn, the wheel should try to achieve the straight ahead position. Okay, the wheel should reach to the straight ahead position. Okay, just see how it looks. This is the 3D diagram of the steering layout. Okay, here the first part is a steering wheel where the rotary motion is given, and here is the steering column and shaft. This steering column is a hollow portion in which the shaft is connected to the wheel, one end at the wheel and one end to the steering gearbox. In steering gearbox, there is arrangement that the rotary motion or the twisting motion of the shaft is converted into the translatory or auxiliary linear motion of this cross shaft. At the output of the steering gearbox is a cross shaft, and at the one end of the cross shaft a drop arm or pitman arm is attached, and this gives a linear motion to this drag link or link rod. Okay, and this link rod is having link rod arm and which is connected to the steering knuckle. This steering knuckle is connected to the wheel spindle and as well as this tie rod beam. Okay, the steering knuckle is connected to the hole. This is the wheel spindle, or we can say as a stub axle arrangement. There is a whole wheel assembly, and this is the front axle, and this steering knuckle pin is connected to this track rod arm, and this track rod arm to the track rod beam. Okay, through this bearing, and the same arrangement is to the other side. Okay, what's happened when this motion of the rotary motion is converted into the linear motion to the drag link, and this drag link will give this motion to the steering knuckle. Okay, and this arrangement, when we connect this track rod arm and the track rod, we connect it, then you will observe a trapezoid. This ensure that there should be the equal movement of both the wheels. That will be take care by this track rod. Okay, I think you have understood this. Just again we will see the animation so that you can understand how it looks like. Okay, here you will observe that this is the tie rod which I have shown. Here you will also observe it is the back side of the axle. Okay, and this tie rod is important adjustment. Okay, important adjustment, and due to the 4-bar chain mechanism, or we can say Davis Ackerman link or principle, the wheels are rotated or given a angular motion equally. Okay, that we are going to learn in next video, and as well as we will understand what is the function of each component. Okay, you have understood this. Here is the 3D diagram